Hello, dear viewer. It is I, Solar Cross, and in this video, I thought we might have a look at you. Yes, we are going to look at the demographics of who watches this channel, which is you. Yes. So, those of you who don't have a YouTube channel, don't make videos on YouTube, you might not realize just how much information YouTube collects about you and shares with the likes of myself, people who make videos. And people who make videos, we get a page in our YouTube channel called Analytics, Analytics, and it's got all kinds of information. Some of it's pretty obvious. You'd expect like how many views our videos got, and watch time, which is like the total amount of time people spend, and subscribers and things like that. You'd expect that, but also there is quite a lot of information, more demographic information about the audience. For example, who the ages and gender and location of viewers. And so I just thought, since well, it's been a long time since I've had my channel a few years. Some of you may know this. Altogether, when did I start? I will have a look. Let's have a look. I think my first video, maybe it was actually I deleted one. No, I don't know. I'm gonna say at least as old as 2019. September 2019 was the first one. So that is, well, it's quite a few years. It's still quite a small channel, and I have like fallow periods where I don't do much, like in between here. So that's between July 2020 and June 2021. That's nearly a whole year of doing nothing. And more recently, this year, so this is the year up to date, and you can see I've got a video here which came out in April. And then the rest of it, all the new videos are, well, there was a big old gap until January when I started making videos again. And I've been making quite a few so recently. But anyway, so this last year's been kind of quiet. I haven't been making many videos, doing other things, But since I have been making more videos, I did think, well, we could have a look at the analytics on the audience tab and just sort of see who's actually watching. And I did see some interesting things, actually, some surprising things as well. Some things which were not exactly surprising, but surprising only in the extent of how, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'll just flip back here. So over the last year, so I've set the period to 365 days, the last 365 days. So that's altogether 18,000 and a bit views. So when we go to the audience tab, that's just for the context of. So the first thing YouTube's telling us is like most people who watched in the last 365 days were not subscribers. So, and 1.5% were subscribers. I don't really have any comment on that. That's probably typical, I guess, for most channels. But here's where things get spicy, get very interesting. Age and gender. Yes. So for those 18,000 views, precisely 0% of people watching were women or ladies. And 100% concomitantly were male. So now you might say, Dan, you're a flipping nerd. Your channel's about video games and tabletop wargaming. Of course your viewers skew heavily male. Right, I expected that, but 100% male and 0% female. Like these stats round to like, what is that, one significant figure, if I remember the maths. So that implies at most 0.05% of the audio of views were by females or women, let's say. Females. Could be girls. But anyway, so that's pretty shocking, isn't it? I mean, that what does that I don't know what that says about me or maybe the subject matter of my channel. But I'd like to point out it's not just tabletop wargaming. Actually, if we go to the contents, yeah, and if I flip it to order by the most views, my three most popular videos. The first is about a video game, Stellaris, which is like a grand strategy um, video game, if you didn't know, 9,000 views. And the next two were about Skyrim, which is admittedly still a video game, but it's an RPG, so it's possibly a bit more woman friendly than grand strategy. Like that meme about that was on Twitter not so long ago about how women were just shocked that to find out their husbands every day or every week would think about the Roman Empire. Like apparently women found that shocking. It was just which is that's interesting, isn't it? But yeah. So you kind of expect grand strategy to skew extremely male. But RPGs, that's a bit more girly, isn't it? I mean, it's very personal. It's not grand fleets of armadas of warships. It's more personal combat, isn't it? So and it's stories of individuals. Why don't women play RPGs? I thought they did, but yeah, no. So even the Skyrim audience, which is just on these two videos, is like 7,000-8,000 views. Yeah, no females at all. So how crazy is that? But anyway, let's go back to the audience because that we aren't done. Let's let us see who else is what else how else the audience breaks down. So we know you're all blokes. You're all male. What else about you? Well, look at the age brackets. So we got a full half are between 25 and 34, and nearly the rest are in the bracket of 35 to 44. So we're talking about millennials, and almost very, very few younger but still grown up males. 18 to 24, so Zoomers, almost no Zoomers. And my age bracket, personally, I'm actually Generation X, if you didn't know, and I recently turned 50 years old. And according to this, no one in my age bracket watches me either. Of course, there's no boomers, because boomers haven't discovered the internet yet, have they? So like almost the entirety of my audience is somewhere between 25 and 44. So we're talking older Zoomers, middle, and millennials, mostly millennials, let's be honest. So yeah, interesting there. I suppose it's kind of interesting to know stuff like that. I don't know. Does that mean I should broaden my appeal? Should I try to make female friendly videos, like I don't know, nail videos about painting nails and makeup? I don't know what I should do. Or should I just be comfortable in the fact that my audience is entirely male? At least that way I know who the audience is, right? As for age groups, I am surprised there weren't more people in my age group, like 45 to 54, that it really sort of bumps pretty heavily in the millennial bracket. I'm also surprised that there's so few between 18 and 24, because that's an age group I would think are playing video games, and they are they are playing Warhammer 40k or tabletop war games or painting miniatures and things like this. So it's kind of surprising there's no one in that category. It could be maybe there's a platform bias. Maybe people in this age group don't use YouTube for whatever reason. Maybe they prefer TikTok. It could be something like that. I don't know. So, and we also have some more information, like what devices are you watching me on? So 42% are watching on mobile phone, a solid 36% are on the old PC, 15%, sorry, on TV, and 5.8% on tablet. So I don't think that's super surprising, I suppose. And it's probably not that different. If it was like, I think probably most channels it would break down something like that. I think that's just sort of how it goes. But here now, and the next one is geography. So where are you watching from? Not just who you are, your age group and gender, but where you watch. And it's not super surprising, but the United States is a solid third, which makes a lot of sense because obviously, although I'm a Brit, I am. The subject matter is interesting to Americans, and of course, we speak the same language, so I am accessible to you. Slightly surprised, only 10% from the UK, because that kind of implies um, there's a big chunk of the audience are not an English speaking area. Because I mean, between the United States and the United Kingdom on 10% and 32%, and then you've got Canada at 1.5%, Australia at nearly 1%. Well, that's almost the entirety of the English speaking world, right? Or as native speakers, right? There's New Zealand, and that's about it. So only about half my audience are actually in native English speakers, I would suggest. And so if we try and break that, can we get more information about who else is watching? Because that's surprisingly right. Oh, we can even look at who's watching by city. How about that? Oh, maybe not. So how do I get off this? Right, okay, so back on that. So it doesn't really tell you who else is watching, because these percentages only add up to about 50%, don't they, at most? So who else is watching? I guess that's Indians, Russians, I don't know. Of course, a lot of people speak English as a second language, so maybe it's not so surprising. Oh, if we go by English, the language, so this is another clue perhaps. So 82% of you don't watch with subtitles or closed caption. Well, since I deliver the vocal content of the video entirely in English, that suggests that 82% of you are very comfortable listening to English. So you are English speakers. And 12%, 13% have English as closed captions, and that could just be for being hard of hearing or some other reason, maybe just like reading subtitles. You're still probably an English speaker. And so the entirety of oh no, we got some auto translated Portuguese, a tiny amount of auto translated Russian, tiny amount of auto translated Spanish. So almost everyone, I would suggest, is an English speaker, which is not surprising, of course, because I am an English speaker. If you are trying to make sense of my videos, you want to be speaking English, really. So that's a fascinating little glimpse into my analytics. What do you think about that? Should I try to broaden my interest, broaden my appeal to other demographics, or or should I just double down on the ones that do appreciate me and my offerings, my humble offerings to you, the audience? And so bye for now.